All right, today we are going to talk about section 3-6, which is on correlation coefficient. Now, there's only a couple of things in here that we're really going to focus in on, and most of it we actually touched on the other day on 3-5 when we were talking about lines of best fit. So I'm not realistically going to talk much about in the book or in the folder. I'm just going to talk for a couple of minutes about correlation coefficient and basically the 5 things that we need to know with it when we're looking at it, especially for our test coming up next week. All right, so our correlation coefficient, right? Basically, this is just telling us how well do two things that we are comparing correlate to each other, right? So think of height to weight, right? Those usually have a pretty good correlation to each other. Now there's outliers, but usually they, the taller you are, the more that you weigh, right? But that's generally kind of what we're looking at right now. Okay, so correlation coefficient, we are using the lowercase letter r to represent it. And with it, we have basically 3 things that we're looking at. Okay, are we close to 0, 1, or -1? Okay, the closer we are to +1, this is going to be a strong positive correlation. -1 is going to have a strong negative correlation. The closer we are to 0, the weaker that we are. All right, so and anywhere in the middle, so say we're at like 0.5, that would give us a median or a medium correlation. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at today. So let's look at 5 graphs that are going to help us here. The first one is going to be the strong positive correlation, and this is where we have our data that is going in the positive direction up and to the right, and all of that data is nice and neat kind of along where that line of best fit would be. And this could have an R value that's pretty close to +1. We're going to say something like 0.92. Okay, we could then have a medium positive correlation, which is still going to go up and to the right, but now our data is much more spread out. So you can see the difference between strong positive versus medium positive. This data is much more spread out from where the line of best fit would be. And we can use an R value that's somewhere in the middle between 0 and 1. So we're going to go with like 0.52. My general rule of thumb is that medium would be anything from like 0.3 to 0.7. Anything or like 0.35 to 0.7, somewhere in there. Okay. Similarly, we could also have a strong negative correlation, which is just like our strong positive, but now it's going down and to the right. Okay, so all of our data kind of looks like it's forming that line, and we can have an R value that's close to -1. Let's go with like -0.89. Okay, and then we could have a medium negative, which again is going down and to the right, but the data is much more spread out. Still going down and to the right, but it's much wider and spread out versus the strong negative. And we could use an R value or a coefficient of like -0. Let's go with like 4.5. All right. And then the last type of correlation that we have is when we have no correlation or a weak correlation. And that is when all of our data is so spread out that it is indiscernible, or we can't figure out whether it's going up or whether it's going down, and that R value is like close to 0, so I'm going to go with like 0.1. Okay? And that's realistically what we're looking at here. Okay, so there's not a whole lot with correlation coefficient. Basically, the questions that you're going to see on your homework or see on your test is, hey, here's a graph. What correlation coefficient could go with it? Or here's a correlation coefficient. Describe the correlation. Is it weak? Is it strong? Is it medium? Is it positive? Is it negative? Okay? So if you have any questions while you're working through the homework, please let me know. Reach out to me, email me, or talk to me during class on Monday. Thanks.